Welcome to What's the Score, a series solely dedicated to the support of Central Florida's small business and entrepreneurs. Donated as a community service by AM 660 The Answer and Salem Communications. Now, here's Christopher Hart and Rich Jaeckle.
Hello and welcome to What's the Score, the show designed to help you come up with that winning combination for your business without deflating anything in the process.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
That's right, folks. You have got the show designed to help you get going in life and having your own business. I am Christopher Hart of the American Adversaries Radio Show, joined by my co-host, Rich Jaeckle. That's Rich there you heard in the background. How you doing, Rich?
Oh, I'm great. I mean, that was the worst joke since we went to the NFL party here about 3 days ago. And the big talk was about the deflation production. So here you are. You're going to start off like that, huh?
Yeah, we got to get going with it. All right, next weekend, of course, is Super Bowl weekend. But we got a lot of business to talk about today. We got another great show lined up for you, I think. And certainly we would like that you tell all your friends and family about this. And don't forget, if you happen to miss an episode of the show, you can go to SCORE's website, which is scoreorlando.org, and they have them all archived there. Plus, you've put them up on YouTube as well.
That's right. Rich. Yeah, there's a whole history of them on YouTube. You can be a regular follower.
Hey, how about that?
Yeah, and you know what? It's free, just like counseling services.
Which is what SCORE does,
That's
provide
right.
mentorship program for up-and-coming businesses and established businesses, as we found out last week with the GAP program.
Right, yeah.
So they have a lot to offer down there today, and we have a special guest lined up to give us a whole nother perspective on what you can get as you get involved with SCORE. And don't forget, the website is scoreorlando.org, and the great thing about SCORE Orlando is that they actually have some offices here, and they are at the Entrepreneur Center in the Fashion Square Mall between Penny's and Sears, and you can give them a call on the phone at 407-420-4844. That's 407-420-4844. You don't have to make an appointment, but if you like, you can. Otherwise, just go in down there Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. They got brochures there. They have people there that you can talk to, and there is a lot to offer. The SCORE is just one organization that's located at the Entrepreneur Center.
Yeah, 1 out of 11 of actual community service providers.
Great.
So there's many. It's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
You come in there, you can hit a bunch of them.
And don't forget the free seminar coming up on January 31st, Saturday morning. Let me see if I know I have the details here, but it's the basic seminar.
You, your business, and in remembrance of Paul McNally, you, your business idea, and how SCORE can help you.
And don't worry, folks. Paul is doing just fine. We saw him this past week, and he'll be on the show again in the very near future.
He actually will. You know, he's responsible for the entire BizFest.
Yeah, and that's coming up in May.
Right.
May 19th. Yeah. That's free. And you can come to that. It starts at noon. It's down at the Entrepreneur Center, so make sure you put that on your schedule, and we'll be talking a lot more about that. But don't forget, your business idea, and what SCORE can do for you. January 31st, free seminar. So that's Saturday morning, and they kick off at, 9? 9 o'clock. It's
right.
You don't have to register, but if you like, you can do that. And but once again, come on in. And as we were encouraging folks last week, bring the young ones in your family. Because they need to know that there's a whole nother world out there beyond getting a job and working for someone else, the quote-unquote career path. There is the entrepreneur path, and I don't think our schools spend nearly enough time focusing on that side of life. So if you have the opportunity, take your high school, middle school student or college student down to the Entrepreneur Center, January 31st. And it lasts about half the day, about 3-hour seminar.
Yeah, 3 hours. And the young adult has to be really attuned to business. I mean, this has to be something that they're thinking about.
Right.
They can't just go in there. They won't pick up anything by that. But, they have to be thinking about, what if I don't want to go to college?
Yep.
What if I just want to be a plumber? And we had a guest in here about 3 weeks ago.
It was a while back, but
what did they say?
Well, he's making sure his son knows how to do that, because there'll be so few plumbers in the future, they'll be able to write their own ticket.
Right. Everybody will have a college education and be professional.
You got it. All right. So what we got in store for today, Rich?
Well, have you ever heard of the SBA?
Let's see, the SBA. Let's see, the something baseball. No, Small Business Association, right?
Wrong.
What?
Wrong.
What?
It's supposed to be Small Business Administration.
Administration. Okay, that shows you how much I know about the SBA,
right.
which is actually probably typical of most people.
Exactly, typical of most people. And guess what? We are going to expose the myth of the SBA today. There is actually people, live people, that are responsible for the Small Business Administration, and we have one of them. We captured one. So he's here today.
His name is Ed Ramos. Ed, thanks for being with us today. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and attack the myths. The first myth, I think, is the SBA a totally governmental program?
Yes. We have been around since 1953. We were created actually before that time, during the Depression time. And our mission is to maintain and assist the small business owners with training, counseling, financing, and other support, because we understand that small businesses are the engine of the nation.
So you're entirely funded by the federal government?
Correct.
Okay. Rich, they have an association with SCORE. Can you kind of begin to describe that relationship?
Yeah, sure. I don't know if we've been associated with you since its inception, have we?
Since 1964.
64, right.
Yes,
okay. So since 64, we have provided kind of the counseling arm for the SBA. In other words, they are the financial arm. Well, I'm going to let Ed explain more of this, but what happens if somebody applies to the SBA for a small business loan? They would generally come to SCORE first to get their business plan written and approved, and that way they can go directly to the SBA and a bank, which Ed will explain, but they're better positioned to talk to the SBA and talk to the banks about their business.
Sure. In the beginning, in 1964, we had a bunch of retired folks from the SBA that they wanted to continue to be involved helping their community. So what they did is they formed this nonprofit group at the national level. Currently, they have about 380 or 390 offices.
385 offices and 10,000
volunteers. So real quick, and I want you to continue. Sure. But the SCORE was born out of the SBA?
Out of some individuals that work with the SBA that wanted to continue to help because they understood the need to provide assistance to small business owners in the U.S.
Hence the original name, Retired Executives.
Right.
Service Corps.
But I had no idea of
I didn't either.
Of the,
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, it was well before my time because I'm only 25.
Yeah, well,
but, oh my God, your shoes are 25.
Richard just retired back then, though. He should know all about that.
Right.
No, but so some members of this Small Business Administration, after they left the government, decided they wanted to continue the work, so to speak.
That's correct.
And they established SCORE, and now SCORE, as Rich said, is basically what helps you work through the process of the SBA, I take it.
Correct. Well, in the beginning, we had a lot of people in the agency, and throughout we went through a lot of transitions in which the powers to be in Washington decided that it was a lot more effective to downsize the agency and help groups in the local community who have a lot more knowledge and they're embedded with the small businesses.
Okay.
So what we did is we started to fund them via grants to the tune at the national level. For example, I remember one year our grant was like $5 million.
Yeah.
I think your chapter got like $2. Check for $2.
Yeah, it was enough for a shoelace.
Right. but we work with them, and what we try to do is instead of do all the work ourselves, we try to give them a piece of the action, a piece of the big cake that is out there for entrepreneur development. So what we do is whenever somebody comes to us, calls me, for example, here in Orlando, because my office is in Orlando and I handle Central Florida.
Okay.
And I ask a number of key questions like, do you have a business plan? Do you have an idea? Do you know where you're going? Do you have funding? Have you done this before? And if the answer is no, then the first thing that goes up in my mind is, I need to send this person to SCORE so they can go in and attend some of their basic courses and talk to a counselor so they can finalize and put something together to conceptualize their business idea and then move to the business planning phase.
Right. Basically, what you're trying to do is help them out because they don't have to stand a chance to get anywhere with the SBA if they don't have those things.
Sure. Some individuals don't need the SBA because they may have some money available to them.
Right.
But one thing that troubles me is that if you get on a trip and you don't know where you're heading, you're going to spend your money in gas and never get there.
I see.
So what we try to do is give you a roadmap and the tools so that you can make the best decisions to get there in the fastest way possible without spending all the money on, knickknacks on the road.
Okay. All right. Real quick, first of all, does the SBA still fund SCORE?
We do. Every year we set some money aside. I don't remember what the funding cycle was for SCORE last year, but we have a very close relationship. For example, the chapters in Florida, many of the chapters, what we do is we send a stipend through the national office, and then at the local level, we pay for their phone service.
I see.
To help them because they're volunteers.
Right.
They don't charge a dime for the services that they give to someone that walks in the door.
Right.
So we try to make sure that they're taken care of and that they can provide the best of the best to the small business owners.
Yeah, I keep trying to get our beer ration, but
that won't do. I know a lot of people out there are already wondering how can they get a hold of you. Can you give us your phone number? And
sure.
Do you have a website and an email address? Okay,
the website for the SBA is www.sba, like Sam Bravo Alpha, .gov, like Golf, Oscar Victor, like government. My phone number in my office is 407-648-2891.
Okay, and that's 407-648-2891. And we'll give this phone number out again during the show. So if you didn't get a chance to write it down just now, just make sure you get a pencil and paper ready for the next time we give it out. 407-648-2891. And I see you're located downtown on Robinson Street.
That's correct, 200 East Robinson Street.
Okay, that's right downtown, folks, right there by Lake Eola. So great office area down there.
Thank you.
Okay, so when we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Ed and Rich, of course. But once again, folks, we'd like to hear what your ideas are for the show or suggestions or questions, and send them to score@nationalec.org, score@nationalec.org. And don't forget, you can find out all about the seminars and everything they have to offer here in Orlando at scoreorlando.org. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to What's the Score, folks. I hope you're enjoying the show this morning. And we have today's guest is Ed Ramos. He's with the Small Business Administration here in Central Florida. And by the way, their phone number, once again, is 407-648-2891, located downtown. But before we continue on, we were talking about the funding and how the SBA provides grants to the SCORE organization. What does that involve, Rich?
Well, the government allows us a certain amount of money to exist in the form of a grant. Okay, it would be like a private citizen going to apply for money to start a business.
Right.
Okay, we're an agency that does not reply or report to the government, nor do we report to the SBA per se. We are an independent 501c3, which means that we get our funding, the majority of it, from the government through the SBA in the form of a grant.
Okay. Do private individuals donate to the SCORE as well?
That's the second half of the equation. That's right. So any individuals that are interested in making a grant to us in the form of monetary gains or education or products or something like that can go directly to SCORE Orlando. And it's a tax-free deductible.
Yeah.
Right.
And Ed, you basically say that SCORE is independent of the SBA, but the SBA is providing some funding to SCORE because you have a common goal.
That's correct. From the beginning, SCORE has been an independent organization, organized as a non-for-profit with a 501c3 status.
So it was in 1964 got
Correct.
that status.
And we don't want to change that. We don't want to control them. They need to have their own independence. But we work together because we have common clients, common goals. We do training for entrepreneurs, and they do it better than us because they do it for free, and they bring volunteers to help themselves, to help the community.
All right. The unique thing about the SBA is it's one of the few governmental agencies, if you will, that is there to, for lack of a better word, help business. The other agencies are almost all there to regulate business. Now, we can debate, whether this regulation or that regulation is necessary or not, but it's your sole purpose, if I'm not mistaken here, to promote entrepreneurship and businesses across the nation.
Sure. We, at the Washington level, we have a mission to regulate because we publish regulations when we publish criteria that has to be followed. At the district level, where the rubber meets the ramp, our goal is to ensure that we develop entrepreneurs. The more entrepreneurs, I think I mentioned that we view the economy as an engine, and the entrepreneurs are basically the cogs, the pistons that move that engine, and we want to generate a lot of speed. The more businesses there are, the healthier the economy.
How has this administration been in their funding and their if you will, attention toward the SBA?
Well, we went through a period of a recession, a bubble burst.
Correct.
The housing, and that affected a lot of industries. A lot of the banks were overly regulated by regulators that were looking at their investments and the cash availability. So that put them in a precarious position because if they do a bad loan, then that opens the door for FDIC to come in and take over the bank.
I see.
And so we saw a lot of reluctance of lenders to lend because if they lend too much, the government comes in and slaps them in the hand.
I see.
But all of that seems to have been a temporary measure, has been corrected. We see a lot more lending to the point that I have some figures that, for example, in the district that I represent, North Florida, 48 counties in the state of Florida. My border is Orange County. Osceola belongs to the other district in Miami.
I see.
We did about $600 million in loans last fiscal year that ended 30 September 2014. And we also did about, $350 million in surety bonds for companies that were pursuing construction companies or other work that needs to be bonded. So there's a lot of activity.
Are those figures larger than the years before?
Yes. We've seen an improvement.
So the lending is increasing now?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So it's not quite as difficult for someone to get an SBA loan as it might have been in the past?
Correct.
Given that they meet all the standard criteria?
Sure, and we have increased the educational aspect because a lot of the people in the past were saying, well, I want to start a business. They were going directly to the bank. They didn't have a good business plan that makes sense, that had been reviewed by SCORE. Right. And, of course, the bank, when they look at it, they say, well, you don't have all the ingredients. Go somewhere else. We can't lend you money.
Right. Once again, folks, Ed's phone number is 407-648-2891, 407-648-2891. And what's the one thing you would tell people that's the common thing that you see that it's a mistake or something that they shouldn't do or something that they expect that it's not going to be there at the SBA? What's a common...
Well, a lot of the people assume that the SBA has grants just like we do for SCORE for small business people.
Okay.
And basically the Congress doesn't allow us to give money away for free.
Right.
So a lot of people call me and they get upset because I don't have a grant. And they're looking for a grant. Maybe that happened 30 years ago, but it doesn't happen today.
Right.
If you want to start a business, you need to come in with you need to do your homework. You need to have a well-rehearsed speech that you want to give that is supported by your business plan and your financials and your credit score. And you also need to be realistic. If you're trying to sell ice to the Eskimos, guess what? You're not going to sell a whole lot of ice.
So obviously you need to be prepared. That's where SCORE comes in too, right, Rich?
That's where they come in. That's their primary focus would be to investigate the idea, the business idea, and see if it's a valid business idea. Can we make money at this business? The only way to tell that is through a business plan.
Okay.
You have to have a business plan to see if you can make money and how soon you can make money. The banks don't care about the pretty business plan. They care about when they're getting paid back.
Sure.
So SCORE works with the clients as to say, okay, according to this business plan, you're going to be solid after 6 months or 9 months making a profit, and then you're going to start returning the interest on the loan.
And that's what the SBA does, is help find lending for businesses.
Correct. Most of our lending programs in the what we call the day-to-day program work in a loan guarantee fashion. Like when you take a FHA loan for your mortgage,
right?
Instead of the government holding the loan or giving you the money completely, what they do is they take a secondary position, and what that does is allows the lender to be flexible on the terms and allows the lenders to the capacity to lend, because instead of lending 100%, when you get a 90% or 70% guarantee, that means that they can fund a lot more businesses and a lot more houses out there.
Right.
So what we do is on the regular program, we have a number of loan guarantees. The programs can go from anywhere from $500 all the way to $5 million, but we take a loan guarantee position. So the bank is the one that reviews the package. They have to make sure that it makes sense. They review the package with our criteria, but of course, the government wants the lender to use whatever criteria is available in the market at the time, because each industry is different.
Right.
So when they review the package, if they decide that this is a risk they're willing to accept, and the SBA is going to give them a 70% guarantee, the exposure of the bank is only 30%. So that's a sweet deal for the financial institution to make the loan. It's an incentive to them.
Right.
So when they do that, then they request a loan approval from us that sort of like seals the deal. They do the underwriting, the closing documents, and then they provide service through the duration of the loan. When the loan, if for whatever reason there's a default, the business doesn't move as expected, or there was a big storm or earthquake or something like that.
Something happens to one of the principals.
Correct. Then the bank, if the business owner decides that he wants to default, then they turn around to the SBA and they say, okay, we have this guarantee loan. Can you honor the guarantee? And then we'll buy it and we'll service it. What we try to do when we service it is that then we'll try to get our partners, SCORE, Small Business Development Center, Women Business Centers, to see if the business can be salvaged.
I see. Mm-hmm.
If it can't be salvaged, then we have, by law, we have to then put it up for liquidation.
Right. Bankruptcy, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Rich.
Yeah. A couple of things to clarify here. Number one is that the SBA can approve somebody for a loan, but it's the bank that actually gives the money and does the final approval for the business loan.
Well,
correct?
The bank reviews the package that is submitted to them.
Right.
All of the financials, the business plan, the projections.
Yeah, but I think what Rich is asking is the bank is the one who loans them the money.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, it's not SBA. The
No.
SBA, I don't want the listeners to get confused.
This is the way student loans used to be done.
Right.
When I was going to college
Right.
back in 1980, I went down, I forget the name of the bank, First National or something downtown. They gave me the loan. It was guaranteed by the government.
Right.
But the bank gave me the money.
That long ago?
Believe it or not. And it was a whole lot cheaper to go to school
Holy
back then,
cow.
too. I tell you what.
I got my student loan in 1981.
Oh, boy.
There you go, yeah.
Kids. Number two is the fact that you mentioned $500. Now, to be realistic with our listeners out there, no bank is going to go through an SBA loan for $500. It is not worth their trouble.
Yes, that's a correct statement. However,
Okay,
we have
good listeners. You listening to that?
We have a
They will
program.
not do it.
We have a program that is called the micro loan program. Micro, very small, and it goes from 500 all the way to 50,000, and that's handled by one specific institution in this area for two institutions.
Can
I
you
say
name
the
them?
names? Yeah. The Black Business Investment Fund of Central Florida, and you don't have to be
you
don't have to be an African American to partake of those services because the government doesn't discriminate.
Okay.
And then the other group is Action USA.
Axion, right? ACCION.
Axion USA.
Yes, sir.
And don't forget, folks, we have to take a break here in just a minute, but Ed's phone number is 407-648-2891. And that micro loan program, by the way, that's been used around the world to help lift people out of poverty in places like India and others. Okay, when we come back, we'll continue the conversation about the Small Business Administration with Ed Ramos. And if you, once again, folks, you can go to scoreorlando.org, to find out more about SCORE and how they can help you get yourself ready to go to the Small Business Administration so that you can work through that process. When we come back, we'll talk about how long that takes and what you might expect when you walk in the door at SCORE. Okay, when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. And don't forget, folks, please tell all your friends and family about us. Our audience is growing out there, and we really appreciate it, and we really appreciate all the great comments we get. You can send those to us at score@nationalec.org. We're coming right back. Welcome back to What's the Score, the show designed to help you come up with that winning combination for your business. I am Christopher Hart, along with Rich Jaeckle, and our guest today is Ed Ramos from the Small Business Administration here in Central Florida. Folks, if you'd like to become a member of SCORE, just go to the website, scoreorlando.org, and sign up there, and you'll be on the email list, and you'll get notices for upcoming seminars and like the BizFest, which is coming up on May 19th. So please take advantage of that. Before we get back to the conversation with Ed, though, I want to pick up where we left off with microloans, and then we'll work up from there. But first of all, there's another event coming up here in Central Florida that some of you folks definitely might like to go to, especially if you'd like to give somebody a little piece of your mind, so to speak. It is the Regulatory Fairness Hearing. And this is the Office of the National Ombudsman for the Small Business Administration. They will be in town Wednesday, February 4th. And it's going to be at the Caribe Royal Orlando Hotel down there on World Center Drive. And you can go to scoreorlando.org and find out information. This is a Wednesday. Rich wants to make a clarification, but real quick, it's a Wednesday from 11 to 1:30, and the registration begins at 11, and then the hearing, if you will, is going to be from 11:15 to 1:30. Rich, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, these notes go directly into the congressional roles. So these are things that are talked about. Now, ombudsman, help me with this. Help me and all my friends out there that don't know the term ombudsman. Does either of us know?
Yeah, it's a person who's appointed by the government to oversee an institution, whether it be in the government or without the government. For instance, there are state ombudsmen who are charged with looking out for activity that goes on in nursing homes and that sort of thing. So the ombudsman is appointed as a sort of an outside pair of eyes to look at a situation.
Okay, is this a government worker or is this an independent outside resource?
Well, I just have the press release that you gave me. I presume that he is a government worker.
Yeah.
It says the National
Okay.
It says National Ombudsman Brian Castro will convene a regional hearing to hear testimony from small business owners, representatives of trade associations, and other members of the small business community regarding federal regulations and enforcement and compliance actions impacting America's small businesses. So, for instance, if you are in a landscaping company and you think there's an EPA regulation out there that affects you or you're afraid there will be one, here's your chance to go down and as I said, express your opinion. And this is a rare opportunity, so, if you're inclined to do so, please go down to the Caribe Royal Orlando Hotel on February 4th, 11 a.m. is the registration. I'm sorry.
There's one thing here.
By the way, there's an email address. You can go to, is it jose.mendez@sba.gov?
Correct.
All right. And by the end of this month, go there and contact him to register. That's jose.mendez, MENDEZ, @sba.gov. Okay? And for more information about the Ombudsman program, you can go to sba.gov/ombudsman. That's sba.gov/ombudsman. Once again, this is an opportunity to go down and tell a person who's going to take that information back to Congress and about regulations. So, this is your chance to give them, your opinion.
Yeah, I have a rant.
All right. Well, you just
I want to express. I want to say that every time I go to my friendly tavern, which is quite frequently. And
you
here,
business, I hear.
and here, my colleagues that have small businesses bark about all the government shutting down and their business and regulating their business. This is your chance to get off your butts and go in and make a complaint or make a compliment. Whatever you have there. But get up, go out, and go to this meeting. This is your chance. This is the public.
That's right. So sba.gov/ombudsman is about the overall program. Jose.mendez@sba.gov is where you can go to pre-register. It'll be on February 4th, and we'll remind you again next weekend. But put that on your calendar, folks. It'll be an important day here in Central Florida. Ed, you mentioned microloans, and as we said, this is not an unheard of practice. It's been done in other parts of the world. Normally, though, it's associated with parts of the world where there's, devastating poverty is the rule of the day. How realistic is it for this microloan program here in terms of its success rate?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Microloans for a while were very slow. Individuals that were applying for those types of programs, they didn't have all the documentation. Of course, it took a long time for them to provide all the documentation. And by the time that they provided the documentation, some organizations that we had in the past, they only had a monthly meeting to present it to the credit committee. And of course, when if you miss one cycle, then you're looking into 2 months before you even get a go ahead with the project. The process has been streamlined. The fact that we have 2 lenders makes it a little bit easier for the applicants. We have a number of organizations that can help put together the packages in the sense that they can review it and they can tell you whether you have the right financial statements and the right documentation. SCORE is one of them, the Small Business Development Center, the Women Business Center. And by the way, did I mention that we're opening a Women Business Center in Orlando in March?
You did not. Where will this be?
This will be attached to the Florida Institute of Technology. I don't have the address with me. I know that the big opening ceremony is on the 12th of March, and I'll pass the information to Rich so that we can mention that in the air the next time we meet.
Yeah, we would definitely like to get someone from that who's going to be in charge of that office over here on the show. Now, real quickly, once again, about the microloans, because I know there are a lot of people out there thinking, well, I can't get a big loan, but I could get a microloan. That's all I really need. Something between, you said, $500 and $50,000 is considered a microloan. Right. Do they need to go to the SBA first to go, and then you will do some paperwork to channel them to these organizations, or can they go right directly to them?
No, they can go directly. They can call me, and I can send them directly to the organization. They have a online application that you can download. Of course, the most critical portion of it is if you're looking for a business loan, you have to have financials. You have to have a lot of other documents that evidence that you have a business.
Right.
And, of course, when you should take advantage of SCORE and sit down with a counselor and rehearse your speech.
Right.
Because they're going to ask you, what's in this proposal that you're submitting to me?
Yeah, Ed's making a very important point here. Just because it's a smaller loan does not mean that you will not have to go through the same hoops, so to speak, to get it.
There you go.
They still want to know that you can pay the money back, whether it's $500, $50,000, or $5 million. And you said, is $5 million the largest loan the SBA backs?
No, we can go in manufacturing type situations. We can go up to $5.5 million.
Okay. Now, Rich, when somebody comes to you, they have a business. Let's assume, okay, and it's doing okay, but they want to expand and they need a loan to do that, and you say, well, this might work through the Small Business Association.
Right.
How long does it normally take for the SCORE part to get them to the SBA? And then I'll ask Ed how long it takes from there to get the actual money.
We don't recommend they go to the SBA.
That's what I mean. You want to prepare them first.
No, we prepare them first, but we prepare them to go to one of the 2 agencies that Ed mentioned, which was the HBIF, Hispanic Business Initiative. BBIF, I'm sorry. BBIF, Black Business Initiative.
But you are correct. HBIF can do the intake for the Acción USA loan.
Right, and HBIF represents Acción loan.
Okay.
So they can come to the Entrepreneur Center.
I see.
and they can actually go down and talk with HBIF and about the Axion loan program. But the easiest way is go online.
Okay. Right. That's if you want one of those loans.
But if you need larger than 50,000.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. All right. Say I need 100,000.
Okay. Now you're in a different category. Now you have to have a good business plan.
Okay.
A well-thought-through business plan, so that you would come to SCORE and we would work with you on your business plan. First of all, we recommend the seminar, which shows you how to write the business plan and what the SBA is looking for in the business plan.
Okay.
The sections, yeah.
So to be clear, what you're doing is helping them set up the documentation they're going to need to take to the SBA. At that point, they'll fill out the SBA paperwork, I take it.
Well, actually, what we do is we don't have SBA paperwork.
Okay.
In a sense that we don't have a application per se. What we do is that when the lenders signed up with the SBA to provide our programs,
right,
we allow them to use their own forms, and we supplement those forms. We have a personal financial statement and some other information that is required by law that they have to collect.
Okay.
But it's a lot easier for the lender to manage its own forms because they already have the computer program set up.
I see.
And that expedites the process.
Okay, so the SBA doesn't have a whole nother layer of forms that are redundant.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
This goes back to what I was saying. The bank lends the money, so they want it done on their forms.
Right. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, Rich, I come in and I have to go to the seminars. What am I looking at? A couple of months maybe for you to prepare me to approach the SBA?
Not at all. Probably a month at the max, depending on when you come in during the seminar schedule.
Okay.
But if you came in, you couldn't get it all. But the average person that comes in, they could.
Okay.
Ed. I think what you're trying to say is that if I go in and I have a lot of experience in that field, it's going to be a lot faster for me to put together a package. But if I just woke up today and decided that I want to do a brain surgery business,
right,
and I'm not a brain surgeon,
it's going to take a lot longer.
It's going to take me a lot longer just to put the package together and understand.
We probably wouldn't even work with you.
Okay.
We'd say you either go out and...
Right.
Okay. All right. We have to take another break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Ed Ramos. And don't forget, folks, his phone number is 407-648-2891. That's the U.S. Small Business Administration, which their office is located downtown here on Robinson Street by Lake Eola. Don't forget, folks, radio is still one of the most effective ways available to build name recognition via advertising and prestige via your own show like this one right here. And
prestige.
There you go. If you'd like to explore the world of radio on one of the most powerful AM stations in Central Florida, that would be AM 660 The Answer, then call Bill Files at 407-618-1760. If you would like to advertise on a Total Christian station, you can call Bill Files at 407-618-1760. If you would like to focus your advertising to the Apopka area, you can call Bill Files at 407-618-1760. They have 3 stations at Salem Communications here in Orlando, and they can help you focus your advertising, and it is absolutely affordable. Give him a call. We'll be right back. Welcome back to What's the Score, folks. Believe it or not, we're already in the final segment of the show. And thank you for listening. And don't forget, you can send your comments to us at National EC. Excuse me. Let me get it right here. Score at nationalec.org. That's score at nationalec.org. And once again, scoreorlando.org is the local website. Rich, you wanted to emphasize one more time that neither SCORE nor the SBA has money to give away.
I did want to emphasize that.
Well, do it.
But you just did. All right. Yes, folks out there, you listeners out there.
This is a common misperception for both of these organizations.
That's right. You come in and you get angry with us, and there's no reason to, because we aren't lenders.
Nor do you give grants.
Nor do we give grants, and we have no money. But what the SBA is, in a nutshell, is an insurance agency. They guarantee the loan.
For the lenders, which makes it more possible for you to get the money from the traditional lending sources.
There you go. It makes the whole transaction more palatable to the bank.
Right.
Because if somebody's saying, okay, if they won't pay back the loan, I will pay back 80%.
Right.
So now the liability for the bank is only 20%.
Right. Yeah.
So it makes it much more favorable of a transaction. They do not lend the money, folks.
What both SCORE and the SBA do is help you get to the lenders to get the money. and have what the lenders are looking for when you get there. So you're not wasting your time and you're not wasting their time. Is that it in a nutshell, Ed?
Yes.
Yes, sir. And that's about it. Well. And that's what not everybody, but that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Okay, but they play a crucial role in this whole thing, folks, because they get you to the well. Okay, they're not the well. They're not the keepers of the water in the well, so to speak, but they will get you there and show you how to put the bucket down there.
There you go.
All right, so don't forget Ed's phone number at 407-648-2891. That's 407-648-2891. And the website is sba.gov. That's sba.gov. And you said that the Women's Business Center is opening up in, you said March?
Correct, yeah.
And so it is going to focus primarily for women, obviously, entrepreneurs?
Yes, we used to have a women business center in this region that went out of business like maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And,
is it a nonprofit or is it for-profit?
It was the one before and the new one are both nonprofits.
Is this another offshoot of the SBA, sort of like SCORE was? And are they going to do the same thing that SCORE does?
If you look at it from the distance, it may look similar.
Okay.
But in reality, the clients are different.
Okay.
And the approach that they take to get there is going to be completely different.
And by the way, folks, we're already planning on having a show when the center opens down there with the executives from the center to help them explain to you what they will have to offer. So there's a lot of good things happening here in Central Florida in the entrepreneur area. But don't forget, if you are an entrepreneur or a trade organization and you have some gripes about the government regulations and if what you believe to be overregulation or redundant regulations, you can go and tell the National Ombudsman, Brian Castro, all about it. And that will be February 4th, Wednesday. And the registration is at 11 a.m. that morning. The presentation begins at 11:15 at the Carib Royal Orlando Hotel, which is at 8101 World Center Drive, Orlando. 8101 World Center Drive, Orlando. And we'll talk more about that next week. But I want to get back to Ed. Ed, when SCORE prepares someone and they come to you, how long can they expect the process to take, first of all, for you to get them set up with the lenders?
Usually when they come to me, I try to be as diligent as possible. Within 2 or 3 days, I already have the information to them. I can provide right away a list of lenders, so they have a number of choices in the local area. I can provide a list of the documents that are going to be required that the lender needs to see to be able to process a business loan. I can look in my database, and depending on the industry, I can see whether that's something that we have provided funding within the last 6 months, so that if I can find a lender that has done that type of business before, I can give you a referral to that institution, and your chances are a lot better than if you go somewhere where they don't really understand how to set up a
restaurant.
So some lenders will be more experienced in different fields than others.
Correct. They all have their little pet peeves, industries that they support, industries that they don't like. And that's what the borrowers need to understand when they come to SCORE, for example, and they sit with a counselor and they say, I want to start a restaurant. They have already probably experienced many other participants before that have tried to open a restaurant. They went to Bank X, and Bank X said, we don't do restaurants because we lost money in the past.
Right.
It's the highest failure rate of any startup business in the country.
The restaurant business is.
Right.
What is the word escapes me right now. What is the rate of success for the loans? In other words, out of the loans that are given with SBA backing, what percentage is paid back? What's the default rate? I guess is the other word.
No, I understand. We have some figures that we used to share within the last 2 years that said that, for example, when you are in the third year, I think the default rates would 40% of those businesses started that were longer than 3 years will fail because of the economy changing, the owner not knowing how to meet the demands of the clientele not knowing where the business is or not, probably correctly marketing the business.
Right.
Or not. Maybe you have a business, but you don't have enough clientele, so therefore you can't pay the loan. And eventually, you don't have supplies and people don't come in and you have to shut down.
Okay. So, but there is a fairly substantial default rate, but nonetheless, the money is still available. But it means that you need to be prepared, folks. As Ed said, part of it is you're going to need to have a spiel. You're going to need to have that sort of elevator speech where you can go in and convince people that, first of all, you know what you're doing in that type of business, and second of all, that you can make money at it.
And personally, I think you can minimize a lot of that risk by going to SCORE and sitting down and getting their assistance. Even if you get the loan today, you can still continue to go to SCORE and develop a working relationship with them. And the advantage that SCORE brings to the table is that a lot of them are former business owners, and in businesses, experiences are sort of like repetitive in nature. So they probably saw something similar, and they can give you some advice.
Right.
And that's what is worth a lot of money.
As a matter of fact, it may be even more important than ever to be associated with SCORE so you don't blow through that money and end up defaulting on the loan.
There you go. One of the things I wanted to mention to the listeners is that do not hire somebody to write your business plan. The banks will see through that so easily. A business plan has to be in your own words. In other words, when you're sitting with the bank or you're sitting with the SBA, they want to know whether you understand the business.
Right.
Not whether some outside person understands the business and wrote your plan and you're going to follow the plan. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's a good point that Rich is making. Don't think that you can just get the template, have somebody fill in the blanks, and you'll walk in and because you have the quote-unquote documentation. You need the documentation needs to be as
explained.
Rich said, in your words. You need to know what the documentation is all about. You need to understand it, and it needs to be truthful, first and foremost. If someone has already gotten an SBA loan, can they get another one?
Sure. Up to $5 million. So let's say, for example, you took a $500,000 loan, you still have $4.5 billion available. So you can have multiple loans.
I see.
You can have a loan to buy the actual physical structure, a capital loan, and then you can have another loan for working capital, another loan for a line of credit. You can have a loan for exporting. You can have multiple loans up until you reach that cap.
I see. And once again, these loans aren't coming from the SBA. They're backing them up, though, which means that money is available out there at the lending institutions. You just have to, if you will, go through the hoops to get it. But it is there, and it is coming. It is, coming in more quantity than it has in the past few years as the lending institutions are loosening up a little bit.
A case in point here, I had a lady that came in, and she had gotten an SBA loan 5 years ago. And she bought a food truck and started a food business and paid the loan off. Well, not quite paid it off, but she went in. This is only a month or two ago. You probably know her. But she got a second SBA loan because now she was building brick and mortar.
And one important thing is that you need to develop a relationship with the banker. Once the banker knows you and you go back to them and you have been a faithful customer, you have made the payment in time, guess what? They're going to consider you for additional loans.
Sure.
Whether it be SBA guaranteed or conventional loans.
Right. Once again, folks, Ed Ramos is located downtown, 200 East Robinson Street. His phone number is 407-648-2891. I'll say it one more time, 407-648-2891. And the SBA website, it's real simple, sba.gov, sba.gov. And don't forget, SCORE really should be your first step, unless you've done business with the SBA before.
Right, you're familiar with it.
Exactly. And as Ed said, as we say here repeatedly, you want to continue working with SCORE after you've gotten the loan. So once again, so that you don't squander the money and find yourself, needing more money without money and now no options.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is to be with SCORE from the beginning right on through. So, and once again, their advice is free.
Yeah, and another thing, we're just scratching the tip of the iceberg here with the SBA.
Yeah, we're going to have Ed back.
So we've got a whole bunch of things that you and I need to talk about for the future. Yeah. Which is contracting, construction industry particular.
But before we do that, we need to negotiate my terms.
No, before we do that, we need to go to commercial.
Smart man. Well, actually, we're going to have to wrap up the show because the whole hour has just about gone by. Once again, Ed Ramos, thanks for being with us.
You.
And I'll go ahead and say your phone number one more time, folks. It's 407-648-2891, and we will have Ed back in the future. SBA.gov is where you can go to their website And, of course, scoreorlando.org is where you can go to the Orlando Scores website. And we look forward to having you back again in the future, Ed. We really appreciate you being in here.
Thank you.
And next week, do we have next week's guest lined up yet?
I do.
Shall we say who it is?
I forgot.
All right. Well, don't forget that January 31st at 9 o'clock is the free seminar put on by SCORE, you, your business idea, and what SCORE can do for you, located at the Entrepreneur Center in the Fashion Square Mall. It's free. Just show up. And please, if you heard about it, obviously, on the radio, let them know down there that you did. And let them know what you think about the show. All right, Rich, we're going to have to get on out of here. So,
well, giddy up then, and let's go. If you learned nothing today other than SBA and SCORE are not lenders.
But they will help you find the lenders.
Thank you.
And we'll help you find the key to success. Bye, everybody.